drive things off the wall.
That's us, man. 24/7.
You should expect the unexpected. I mean,
Make it known that this is all about being 100% authentic.
We are live now.
So with that being said, let's jump right in. So just thinking about where we were going, this is Black History Month. And so we were talking about just a second ago, just some things that have happened historically within Black people. And so we think about America, we think about oftentimes when the Black story or African-American story is told, it starts at slavery. And so now you'll see a lot of movies being played now on TV, and you see new movies that are being made, and a lot of them start with the depiction of Black people in slavery. And so I've seen the debate online
just the racism may not be so much the slavery part of it, but just the racism period.
Or trauma. It's Black trauma is the deal.
Trauma, yeah.
I think that the debate is about whether or not there's a necessity for movies that center on Black trauma, traditional Black trauma, slavery, gang violence, absentee fatherism, drug addiction, general civil inability to be productive. You know what I'm saying? Like all of that. So when I think about that, I think about those categories. It's a slave movie. It's a single mom trying to make it after, you know, her husband, boyfriend, somebody else left her. It is a young Black student, man, woman, girl, what a boy, whatever, struggling to get through something academically in life as they fight their way out of poverty. It is the gang movies, it's the drugs and all of that movies. Like it's
the movies that Walt loved, the Blaxploitation movies.
Nah, wait, time out. First off,
let's not go there. No, we are not going down that alley. We are not.
What you won't do, say something bad about Shaft in here. I'll turn this mother out.
Well, I'll say this. Did y'all watch the movie? Have y'all ever seen the movie Karen? I know I'm late to watch it, but I just seen it this weekend, and that's what made me actually think about this, because I'm like, wow, like the stuff that happened in this movie, the things that were said, it's like, wow, who wrote this? And like they really pulled in a lot of the stuff that we go through, as far as like white people saying, go back to your country, right? And you people, and you know, I mean, and it was just like, dang, like they're going all in this movie.
When you think about the entertainment industry in all forms, music, movies, even literature for that matter, drama, violence, sex, that stuff always sells, right? That's the money, that's the big money maker, right? The more sensational you can make it, the better it is. We watch mob movies, we love mob movies. You know what I mean? But there are not many stories of white trauma, I guess I'll say, beyond the Holocaust that can really be made and remade throughout the industry. But what I do think is that I feel like as Black people, we have unfortunately, we have a healthy pool of trauma to pull from. And when you think about the cash cows in these industries, that's why they lean to it. Do we need to continue seeing it? I'm cut from a different, I guess, frame of mind from it. I don't know if it's out of necessity, and it may be from a trauma existence. Just I'm not triggered by any of that stuff.
So my question is, are those movies, are they necessary? Do they have a place in today's current society?
What is necessary though? I guess that's what I'm saying. Like if it's a movie, Boys in the Hood, what was the necessity?
Well, let me focus in on the slavery piece, right?
All right.
I've really heard a lot of people say, I'm tired of seeing those type of movies because that's not our only history, right?
It isn't.
Mm-hmm.
But then at the same time, you see right now where there's a lot of Republican legislatures that are working to remove African American studies from courses, or to talk about CRT, and to even have implicit bias
critical race theory.
critical race theory, or do away with implicit bias trainings or DEI work, right? And so let's say, so for those people who say, I'm tired of seeing that, I don't think there's a place for that, right? How is that different from these legislatures who are trying to remove African American history from courses in high school, from K-12 to higher education?
Moving from places where they don't exist.
I think that one of the differences is that when people are complaining about the movies that are being made and is based off of history that could be a little tiring, or you could be fatigued by it, you have the choice to not watch it or not. When it comes to what's being taken out of schools, the choice is being taken away completely, and then you're wiping out a part of historical data that should not be wiped out.
So
why do you think they're trying to wipe that out?
Well, hold on, Chris. Before we get to there, I hear what Devin's saying, and it's a really valid point. I think about it from a little bit of a different perspective, though, Dev. The people who complain about the trauma in the Black movies are the traumatized people, right? We're the ones. I'm fatigued of seeing this depiction of myself or people who look like me. It's the only thing you can show me as a drug dealer, as a single mother, as a crack addict. You know what I'm saying? That's all you don't know how to show me anything positive, right? So we're fatigued of it. When you talk about taking it out of schools, it's the people who are creating the content that want it out of the schools, because you have fiction. My fictional existence is more heavy than my non-fictional. You know what I'm saying? Like the truth of the reality of it is the reality. No one wants the truth. Why tell the truth when a lie is so much better? You know what I'm saying? And I think that can properly sum up what we're experiencing. The lie of entertainment is so much greater. And I honestly feel like the lie of entertainment has historically always been more damaging to us than the reality. The reality is we're not as violent, we're not as sex crazed, we're not as criminal as is depicted in these entertainment spaces. That's the reality of it. So if I can shut off that reality, the truth, if I can shut off the truth that that's not really who you are, if I can shut it off and keep feeding you the negative, eventually that truth, like you can take this all the way back to Birth of a Nation. White people dressed up in blackface and depicted Black people as lazy and sex crazed and violent and dangerous. And then that became the story that white people believed. They believed that, all these Black people, if they get freed, this is how they're going to be, and yada, yada. That's what they believed. The entertainment, what they saw consistently, because that's their world, they believe that. The lie. The truth.
Marketing.
Right. The truth.
Oh, right, but it's marketing, and you're right, Walt, and it's entertainment. And everything within entertainment, for the most part, is always going to be sensationalized, because they want to try to attract the viewer so that the viewer can come in so that they can make them more money. That's what they're in business to do.
Right.
When it comes to making the story, for those who, again, are making the story, it could be from their experience. It could be something that they're taking from, and this is something that they operate in, and this is the best space that they're working through. So when that medium is created, you go back to, do I really want to see it? I don't have to, because I know what that's like, and I don't really want to see my portrayal of that anymore. I'd rather watch this. But at the end of the day, you still have that choice. You can go or you can not go. I think it's very dangerous to say those things about why is it that people are creating only these type of things when that's not really the case. There's a whole different spectrum of people creating different things in our community. You have people creating this about the ghetto and the hood and slavery, but you also got these things being made by people that look like us, about scientists, about musicians, about all type of stuff. There's a whole large world of opportunities and choices that people can watch and view.
See, Dev, I think that's part of the argument, though, is that during this month, they push the traumatic movies over the quality that you're talking about. Why do we not see more of the stories that are positive, that are uplifting, all of the great things that have happened? Like, why are we not seeing that? I heard I won't even try to butcher her name, but it's the parking lot pimping.
Oh yeah.
Young woman.
Lynette.
Lynette. Is it Lynette or is it Lene?
It might be Lene, but I know it's Lane something.
She said something and she was like, there is a value in making these movies because there is some historical relevance and accuracy to them. And I think some of the stories need to be told. However, just like Dev said, there is so much more that can be told, and we don't have to see only the trauma through February.
Well, where are we seeing the trauma at? Like what?
But I think that's what the argument is. Like the movies that get played repeatedly, especially through Black History Month.
What stations though? Like I'm just curious. Can we give some examples?
I know. Any and every station. Like I know BET does it a lot. I don't have cable as much anymore.
TBS.
Yeah,
TBS does it a lot. I think.
I mean, the hate you give.
Right.
Karen.
Even NBT.
Yeah. Well, we don't have NBT, sir.
Yeah, I don't have NBT.
Yeah, we're not.
No. So the hate you give is
that's
one
national public television.
Oh, well, I've never heard of such.
The hate you give, Karen, 12 Years a Slave, Rosewood. These are all movies. Time to Kill.
Time to Kill.
Yeah.
And the excuses they'll say is like, oh, these are like award-winning movies. Yeah, they're award-winning, but they're very traumatic. Like we don't have to see like Rosewood for me. That was like one of the first times I literally was irate at watching something. I was fired up. Like, and ironically, when I watched Django, and as fictional as Django was, I had
some racial slurs in there, boy. Woo.
And see, the slurs don't get me. It's the depiction of violence against my people in such harsh ways. Like in the opening scenes when they was walking with the big collars around their necks.
Oh yeah, that was.
So
have y'all seen Detroit?
Let me say this real quick. Here's the reality of it, though. The reality is that that's never going to stop. Those movies are always going to be played. The question is, though, what do we do about it? What's the solution?
So
that's what I think. That's what the argument is. Is like they're always going to be the natural inclination is going to want to be to play those, but we need to have these type of discussions to say, show me more about these positive things. This is what I want to see.
I guess what I'm getting at real quick, Derek, and then you can take the floor. I guess what I'm getting at is no, don't demand for them to show you. Make something. But
I think they're out there. They get overlooked.
Here's the thing. It all goes back to money and control. Who owns the networks? Right, you gotta always go to the root, right? And what's the goal of the root? The quickest and easiest way to control a narrative and to create bias or to make people feel some type of way or believe something even about themselves is to keep shoving it down their throat, right? Put it in front of their face. Let them hear it over and over and over, and then they'll begin to believe it.
The lie is more believable than the truth.
Right.
It's all marketing, right? And so that's why you don't see it in these spaces and on these platforms and in TV. So you see revolt. You see a lot of Black people who are now trying to create production companies, right? But those are such small spaces, and oftentimes when they try to go to larger networks to promote their stuff or put their content out, they don't get picked up, right? And that's because certain people, the ones that control things, don't want those positive images of things to be shown, right?
They don't want it to be shown. So let me ask you this, and this kind of goes to what Devin is saying, and I want you to push this a little bit further. They don't want it to be shown. Dev is saying create more. We're saying demand more, right? So if we take your position, let's just say, Derek, you're the executive at the office, in the front office, and all you want to show is Black trauma because you want to keep pushing that narrative. Dev he's an up and coming production company, and he's created it, and he's like, I got more positive stuff. He comes to you and you say, no, I don't want to show that. All I want to see that, right? But they don't want to see that. All I want to show is the trauma, is Black trauma. That's it. You ain't got no slaves, you ain't got no pregnant women, you ain't got no drug dealers. Ain't nobody watching that. Now, Crystal and I, we're the audience, and we say, you show me Juice one more time. Now, great movie, but you show me Juice one more time, I'm no longer watching your station. I'm cutting it off. If we say that, how long does it take to now? And by we have to be in a whole unit. We can't just be me and Crystal, and then the rest of the country is like, man, I'm watching Juice. I don't know about you. It's like, how do we not demand more? If our demands get to your ears as an executive, do you not have to change?
But see, but the problem is, it's hard for that to happen, right? What's the chances or the likelihood of people staying together long enough to support that? We saw that with people standing behind Cap, right? We saw that with players in the NFL when, you know what I'm saying, you had some that said, you know what? Oh man, this is threatening my livelihood. So I don't even know if I can stand with y'all on this and take that stand.
Dude, we stand behind anything when we realize the trauma is significant enough. And that goes all the way back to civil rights and segregation. You could take it all the way back there. You could take it all the way back further than that. We'll stand behind it if it's something we believe in. Nat Turner didn't go out there and do what he did by himself. You know what I'm saying? He did that with a group of people who stood behind, because this is not right. You know what I mean? When any slave revolt that ever existed, it existed and it happened because there was a group of people who were behind it. And I feel like that's the thing. We just have to get the education, the understanding, and the commitment to be behind one another. I can support you in whatever you do as long as it's positive. But if you tell me tomorrow, like, yo, Walt, I'm doing this D Will's Beyond Meat line, but really I'm only running this so that I can create a production studio so we can make porn. Now, if you said that to me, like, you my brother, I love you, I don't know how I can get behind that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how I can get behind that, because it's like, if that's not what we need, and I know you could do so much more, like, I guess, but if you were saying, like, I'm doing this Beyond Meat line, remember how we talked about the what was it, the trap yes the trap museum? What was the name of the Bando? Remember how they were saying they was using, or did we just make that part up? But we were saying, if they're using that bread to pump it back into the community, to build the community up, I'll go to the Bando every day when I'm in Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? I will give you my money if you're going to put it back into the city and then build up the city and make it better, so that there aren't.
Well, you know,
what you said. We enjoyed it. We were like,
listen,
nostalgia of it is.
Yeah, but in Derek's case, he's slinging the meat, and he's going to be. He's going to be building the facility and then opening jobs up in the community.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. If that's the goal, if we build, if you got the Beyond Meat line as a means, if he puts the Beyond Meat factory in the middle of the grimiest part of Nashville, and he's giving ex-cons and low income and homeless people, he's giving them a job. You know what?
Down with that. So you down with slinging Beyond Meat?
Hey, listen, you can't be judgmental. There's a market for it.
I'm gonna pause that.
Can we stop saying slanging?
I'm gonna
Hey.
pause that, but I will definitely find a way to support my brother in that venture because I do. But that's what I mean. I guess, and
But listen.
we're making light of it, but the reality of it is,
I'm
black
gonna pause
trauma.
that. Why did you
Black
pause
trauma
that?
is not the only thing that is being made. We all know that.
Why did you pause that, Walt?
But listen.
Because I'm not gonna say that. Yeah, I'm out here supporting my man slinging D.
Yeah,
No, I'm not doing that.
you slinging beyond me in the community.
Definitely not doing that. Pause.
So listen, I would say,
I'm slanging D Will's meat.
Here's my
Pause.
here's my comment to that, Walt.
And then I'll come after you, Derek.
I haven't seen in our lifetime us getting behind something long enough to bring forth change, right?
And that's the problem.
And I feel like we've got a short memory, and I feel like we're beginning to become desensitized to a lot of things that really mean something. And so because of that, I think it's going to take more than more than what we've seen in the past. I think it's going to take more than people just getting behind one common cause. I will say this, and then I'm gonna and Crystal, you jump in, but there's a book that I read and purchased. It's called Brainwash: Challenging the Myth of Black Inferiority. It's by Tom Burrell, and it talks about he was a marketing major. He started his own marketing firm early, and so he goes back and talks about the propaganda and everything that had been put in place early on in American history in creating the myth of Black inferiority. So if you get a chance to read that, please pick it up. I think it's a really good read.
So what I was gonna say, what if someone, what we talk about, like, okay, these movies and this stuff that happens, what if they say, well, I don't understand why this is such a problem when in the end we show you guys coming out on top?
Well, I mean, what's on top? How do you define on top?
Us getting, like in 12 years a slave, he got out of slavery and went back to his family.
But I think that's the greater part of the argument, is that Black success has to come with a crap ton of trauma along the way to get there. Why can we not see our story be trauma free? Not saying it's without struggle, but why can't it be trauma free? Like in 12 Years a Slave, he started off as a successful free Black man who had to be abducted and put into slavery just to escape from slavery. You know what I'm saying? It's like, dang, we can't escape that trauma for nothing. When you look at things like Fruitvale Station, he started off as, I ain't got no job. I'm out here hustling dope. I'm doing all the right things. They alluded to his gang affiliation, all of this. And by the time he's decided he's going to start making everything right, the police got to kill him. Now, what happened to Oscar Grant was a horrible, terrible thing. And stories like that we need to hear about, especially in that time. We needed to hear about it because that, if I'm not mistaken, I think Fruitvale Station was the first cinematic depiction of a recent police brutality case, wasn't it? I don't think there
was it the first one?
I can't think of no other. Not that was based off of reality.
Yeah,
I can't think of no other. That at least
what's the other one? Central 5, but that was after that, right?
It is Central Park 5, right?
Donovan 5.
But
so what if they say, well, why are you putting up such a big deal with movies when your rappers come out and do the same thing? They get big on coming out saying, I grew up in the projects where the elevator ain't work and there was shit and pissed in the hallway.
My argument to that would be the largest consumer of hip hop music is not Black people. The largest consumers of hip hop music has always been suburban, white, young people. Always has been.
Regardless of that, when they are rapping, right?
I fully get it.
The story comes out as I started here. Now I started from the bottom. Now we're here.
Right. So are you asking me, and why am I mad at them for telling their story?
No, you're talking about the trauma that is showing in the movies. Well, they're rapping about it
Trauma
too.
in the music.
Black people are rapping
So
about it.
they're, and again, my argument to that would be the larger consumers of hip hop are suburban white young people, and there is a ton of positive hip hop that does not talk about Black trauma a lot, that doesn't get any of the publicity, any of the shine. We talked about
and
that.
that goes back to what I said earlier, you know, about who controls and
what we
they
demand and what
want
we
to do about it.
consume. But here, and this is what I was going to say to you, Derek, and because Crystal, you asked the question, you said, why do you think they're taking it out of schools? Why do you think they want to take it out of
just
schools?
yawning on us.
But here's the thing, right? If I take the truth and the reality out of the schools, right? If I take the historical facts, the historical accuracy out of the schools, and I make it out to be like it's something bad, and this generation of kids who was already very, 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 very apathetic towards Black history, they don't really care about it as much as, say, our generation did, right? If I take the truth away from them and I keep that information from them, what happens?
And all they have is media.
All they have is media. All they have is the narrative that I want to push. All they have is what I give them.
But that's what's happening.
They get a lot less of that truth. And then now that reality starts to become more and more and more. Derek, you in the schools, right with me. How many times do you hear Black people call something ghetto?
No, all the time.
In a negative, that's so ghetto. And I hate that. Like it burns my spirit up, because I'm like, you're saying that as if it is a righteous statement to make. What? Like that's just horrible. That's horrible. You're calling something ghetto. Like I had a former Black student, and I'm so happy for her now, because she decided to go to a HBCU. She used to talk so bad about wanting to go to HBCUs. Oh, they're so ghetto. Oh, they're so this. Oh, they're so that. I said, go visit one. She wanted to go to Spelman, but it was crazy expensive. I said, why don't you look at somewhere else? Like, I know you're not going to go to state. You don't want to, because you want to get out of the state. I get it. Cool. I said, you know what? I think you would like Hampton. She came back from her visit to Hampton. Mr. Griffin, I love Hampton. It was so awesome. And now here she is up at Hampton. She came back over the Thanksgiving break, I think. She came back to the school. And she was like, I think every Black kid needs to go to a HBCU. That experience is so monumental. But see, that's the thing. Until they're exposed to that good, we can keep pushing, those people, they can keep pushing that negative, and our kids will believe it because they don't know no better. Other kids will believe it because they have nothing to base it off of.
Yeah, but I will say, if you had to do a numbers game, she would be 1 out of 20, right?
I agree.
So all
it takes is to throw one of them in there, put them in there.
Yeah,
put them in that situation.
Yeah,
that's why it's important that we do like what Dev is talking about. We push what is positive and being made. You know what I'm saying? We push them in a position, or push them into spaces where they can see us in a positive light. We can break down all of the stereotypes that they've been trained and conditioned to believe. They can break them down because they see it. And it's like, wait a minute, time out.
And this
I went to this PWI and had the exact same experience that you talk about having at a HBCU.
Yeah, I will say this. I was encouraged. I had to do some listening sessions with some students at some schools. So we've got a program called Youth Court in our schools, where, I don't know if I talked about this before, but did I? Dev, stop me if I have. But
no, go ahead. So
in lieu of suspension, students are actually, their offense is heard by other students in the building that are on this committee in court, and then they sit in a circle. They talk about what's happening, and they have to come up with a resolution. The person gets to tell us side of the story, and the parents invited to that as well. And so students, they actually love it because, one, oftentimes they're able to stay in school, and they really get to think through and see how what they did harm their environment and how their peers feel about it, right? So talking to those students, we're working on a campaign about anti-guns in schools, anti-violence, so against violence and guns in schools. And the students, we asked them, like, who who would be the perfect person to really get this message across. And they said NBA YoungBoy, right? And I don't know if you've seen recently, but NBA YoungBoy is really, he changed his stance on the music that he's been making and what he's been putting out there, and really wants to, you know, he actually apologized for the damage that he's done with his lyrics and the music and everything he's put out there in the past.
Did you say you wanted to move to France or something like that?
I don't know about France.
He wanted to be a Mormon.
Yeah. He's out there in
Utah. He's in Utah
right now. Yeah.
Najee Rumba.
But he's been in Utah for a while now.
Yeah. But he's pretty much changed his life. And so I think we need people like him really to reach that younger generation, because, you know, I talked to him about Kendrick, and they like, we don't listen to Kendrick, right? we don't like
Young Boy, Lil Baby.
Yeah. So it's going to take people like that to really reach this, because I will say, like, it's getting out of control. Every day I turn on the news and we see some teenagers, some students, either committed murder, carjacking, killing other students. And it's crazy. So it's a lot of work needs to be done in the community to undo the negative that's been done.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. But I think that's where we have to have a stance of, like Dev said, there's positive out there. We got to keep pushing the positive, because YoungBoy didn't come to that realization from hearing just other young people. I would assume it's probably some people, that older people that he respects, that came to him and said, like,
some people in Utah.
Whoever
the people who Kanye was chilling with in Utah.
I know.
Scary.
I'm like,
that's scary.
Everybody go out there for that.
Right. We need to send the people in Utah to the hood.
Scary.
Yo,
we need to start playing De La Soul music more.
Oh yeah. Rest in peace.
Yeah, to Dove plug number 2 from De La Soul. 54 years old. That's tough, man. That's tough. I need them to go ahead and release that catalog on Apple Music so I can start playing in class.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, man. Yo, great convo, y'all. Appreciate y'all.
You Rockefeller now?
I knew that Walt was gonna say that. I knew he was gonna say it.
That you Rockefeller now?
He Grand Hustle.
I'm with Rockefeller, man. They got money, man.
Yo, thank y'all for rocking with us on another episode of 5 Things Off the Wall. I'm your guy, Drick, and it was great. So, in everything you do, take positivity with you. Peace out.
Peace, beautiful people. It's your boy Dad. Listen, man, follow, like, subscribe. 5 Things Off the Wall. We are available on YouTube and IG. 5 Things Off the Wall. 5TOTW. Peace.